Modern luxury cars are faster, safer, and more efficient than ever. But somewhere along the way, many of them became harder to repair, harder to trust, and easier to throw away. The cars in this video come from a different moment. Not ancient, not primitive. Just before luxury became dominated by screens, small turbo engines, complicated drivetrains, and showroom gimmicks, these cars survived because they were engineered for smoothness, longevity, and refinement. Not because they were cheap, because they were built with restraint. I'd start with the car that feels like it missed the meeting where luxury sedans became complicated. The Lincoln Town car was old school even when it was new. By the 2000s, luxury sedans were chasing tighter handling, more electronics, more screens, and more ways to become expensive later. The Town car stayed with body-on-frame construction, rear-wheel drive, a naturally aspirated 4.6-liter V8, and a basic automatic transmission. That was not impressive on paper, but years later, it looks pretty smart. The Town car works because it never pretended to be a sports sedan. It was built to be quiet, soft, spacious, and easy to understand. The doors are huge, the glass area is generous, the trunk is massive, and the mechanical layout is familiar to almost any mechanic who has worked on Ford Panther platform cars. But simple does not mean maintenance-free. You still need to watch for air suspension problems, worn front-end parts, rust, tired interiors, and neglected cooling systems. And fuel economy is not exactly its gift to humanity. The sweet spot is the 2003 to 2011 cars, especially clean signature limited models. Current market averages sit around $8,500 to $9,200, with Carfax showing Town car averages near $8,568, and Edmunds showing used Town cars around $9,152 average cost. Compared with a newer, used luxury sedan full of aging modules, the Town car wins by being honest. It is not sophisticated. It is serviceable. Verdict: this is not luxury by technology. It is luxury by space, softness, and mechanical patience. This is the one I'd point to if someone said, I want luxury, but I do not want the car to become my hobby. The Lexus ES330 and ES350 were not built to impress car reviewers on mountain roads. They were built to make daily driving feel calm. Underneath, these cars share a lot of Toyota logic. Naturally aspirated V6 engines, conventional automatics, conservative tuning, and interiors that were designed to age quietly instead of scream for attention. OBD scanner plugged into the diagnostic port, showing readiness monitors and no major codes. Cut to a portable tire inflator sitting neatly in the trunk next to a basic roadside kit. That shot tells the story. This is the kind of luxury car where ownership is more about checking fluids, scanning for codes, keeping tires right, and just driving the thing. The ES330 is softer and simpler. The ES350 is quicker and more modern, but still from the pre-screen dominance era. These cars hold up because the cabins stay quiet, the seats are comfortable, and the controls still make sense without needing a tutorial. Here's where I'd still be careful. Early ES350s can have oil line concerns, worn engine mounts, leaking struts, sticky dashboards in some climates, and neglected timing belt service on the ES330. Do not buy one just because it has a Lexus badge. My pick would be a maintained 2004 to 2006 ES330 or 2010 to 2012 ES350. Current pricing, 2005 ES330 averages about $6,664 on Carfax. 2010 ES350 averages about $9,894. 2012 ES350 averages about $12,930. Verdict: this is the safe pick because it keeps the luxury experience boring in the best possible way. The Acura RL is the car people skipped because it did not have the right logo on the hood. This was Honda's quiet executive sedan. In the mid-2000s, it offered a naturally aspirated V6, a conventional automatic, high-quality materials, and SHAWD in a market where a lot of buyers were more interested in German badges. The RL has a very Honda way of doing luxury. It feels precise, well-assembled, and maybe a little too serious for its own good. It was not flashy. It was not the fastest car in the segment, but it had a calm, dense, expensive feel that more people would probably appreciate now than they did when these were newer. Its advantage today is build quality. The steering still feels clean. The cabin still feels solid. And when maintained properly, the drivetrain does not give off that fragile, overcomplicated luxury car feeling. This is one of those cars that makes more sense when you stop shopping for status and start shopping for substance. But this is not one I'd buy blind. SHAWD adds complexity. Suspension parts are not cheap. Electronics are older now. Navigation systems feel ancient. And because these were not huge sellers, some parts are less common than they would be for a Lexus ES or Toyota Avalon. I would focus on 2005 to 2008 RL models with the 3.5-liter V6. Later cars have more power, but the earlier version fits this video's simpler luxury idea better. Edmunds shows used Acura RLs averaging about $7,878, while KBB lists a 2008 RL around $5,025 fair purchase price in typical dealer condition. Verdict: the RL is not the easiest car here to find, but it might be one of the most quietly impressive if you buy the right one. Then there's the Infiniti M35, for the person who wants the comfort but still wants the steering wheel to say something back. This car is different from the ES and the Town Car. It still uses a naturally aspirated V6 and a conventional automatic, but it has more personality. Rear-wheel drive was available, all-wheel drive was optional, and the VQ engine gives the car a sharper, more energetic feel. The M35 has aged well because it does not feel completely sanitized. The steering has weight, the chassis feels alive, the seats are good, and the car still feels premium enough inside without turning into an appliance. But this is where the cheap ones can get expensive. This is not a Lexus LS with a sport mode. Watch for oil consumption, worn suspension, arms, tired transmissions if abused, cracked dashboards, failing electronics, and cars that were modified by owners who thought luxury sport sedan meant never change the fluids. The 2006 to 2008 M35 is the cleanest fit for this list. The 2009 to 2010 cars are good too, but the earlier cars feel more old school. Carfax shows the overall M35 average around $6,417, Edmunds shows about $7,123, and Carfax data for 2006 M35 trims puts average prices roughly around $6,995 to $7,940 depending on trim. Verdict: the M35 is the bargain for someone who wants refinement but refuses to give up steering feel. The Avalon Limited is what happens when Toyota builds a luxury car for someone who refuses to pay extra for the badge. It has the right ingredients: big V6, smooth automatic, soft ride, simple controls, huge rear seat, and a cabin that feels more expensive than the emblem suggests. No, it is not going to impress someone who only cares about prestige. But for actual daily comfort, the Avalon makes a very strong argument. The appeal here is not mystery. It is Toyota being conservative in the best way. Proven parts, naturally aspirated power, and a layout that most independent shops understand. No prestige tax, no complicated European suspension, no fragile image to maintain. The reason this car still works is because it was not chasing trends. A good Avalon Limited still feels calm, roomy, and easy to live with. It gives you a lot of the luxury car experience without the luxury car anxiety. Before calling it a deal, check the boring stuff. Avoid neglected examples. Look for oil leaks, worn struts, cracked dashboards, tired leather, and documentation on oil line updates where applicable. Also, it is not exciting. It is not supposed to be. The strongest zone is 2008 to 2012 Avalon Limited. Carfax shows a 2008 Avalon average selling price around $9,458, with 2008 Limited trim averaging about $9,723. 2012 Avalon's average around $11,592. Verdict: this is the luxury car for people who figured out the trick. Buy the engineering, not the badge. This is the one exception I'd allow from Europe, but only if the service records are better than the price. At a Mercedes-Benz E320, especially the early W211 cars, comes from a time when Mercedes still knew how to build a deeply refined sedan around a smooth, naturally aspirated 6-cylinder engine. The M112 V6 is not glamorous, but it has a better reputation than a lot of newer, more complicated Mercedes engines. When an E320 is right, it feels different from everything else on this list. The steering, the door seals, the highway stability, the way it settles into speed, that is old Mercedes engineering. It has a kind of confidence that the Japanese cars do not copy exactly. But this is also the car where I would slow down the buyer the most. Do not buy the cheapest one. Do not buy one just because it looks clean in photos. These cars can punish neglect, electrical issues, SBC brake concerns, suspension wear, oil leaks, cooling system parts, and deferred maintenance can turn a bargain into a bad idea quickly. The best pick is a well-documented 2003 to 2005 E320 sedan, preferably rear-wheel drive, with maintenance records. And records matter more than a shiny hood or a low asking price. Current market data is scattered. Carfax shows 2003 E-Class average selling price around $6,940, 2005 E-Class around $8,240, while KBB lists a 2005 E320 sedan fair purchase price around $4,200. Clean examples often sit above book value. Verdict: the E320 is not the safest choice. It is the choice for someone who understands that European refinement still has a maintenance bill attached. And then there's the LS430, the car that makes every other simple luxury argument harder to win. This was not just a reliable luxury car, it was a flagship engineered with unusual seriousness. Naturally aspirated 4.3-liter V8, rear-wheel drive, quiet cabin, deep paint, thick glass, soft leather, conservative tuning, and an assembly quality that still makes a lot of newer luxury cars feel thin inside. This is where simple does not mean cheap. The LS430 was expensive when new, and it was not some stripped-down basic sedan. It had real luxury features. The difference is that the core machine underneath was built around smoothness, quietness, and long-term refinement instead of chasing gimmicks. The fundamentals are why this car still has the reputation it does. The engine is smooth, the transmission is calm, the cabin isolates you without feeling numb, the controls are logical, and the car does not need a giant screen on the dashboard to feel expensive. But I would still treat it like a 20-year-old flagship, not a miracle. Timing belt service matters. Air suspension on ultra-luxury models can get costly. Mark Levinson audio repairs can be expensive. Navigation screens are dated. Suspension bushings, engine mounts, door locks, and old rubber parts still age like they do on any other old car. The prize is the 2004 to 2006 LS430, updated styling, 6-speed automatic, and the best version of the third-generation car. Carfax shows 2004 LS430 average prices around $12,249 and 2005 around $13,306. Edmunds shows overall LS430 average cost around $9,126, which reflects broader condition and mileage variation. Verdict: this is not nostalgia for the sake of nostalgia. The LS430 still matters because the engineering underneath it was honest, quiet, and built for long-term ownership. The real reason these cars can still run and feel excellent today is not magic. It is not just old cars were better, that is too simple. The truth is more interesting. These cars came from a moment when luxury still meant smooth engines, quiet cabins, durable interiors, proven platforms, and controls you could understand without a software update. They were simple, but not because they were cheap. They were simple because their engineers were still focused on comfort, durability, and long-term quality. And that may be the smarter way to buy used luxury today, not chasing the badge, not chasing the newest screen, and not chasing the fastest spec sheet. Just understanding the engineering choices underneath.